Hi, Alex from Aces, coming back again with another short lesson. A couple of weeks ago, a lot of you know that I teach sometimes students in classrooms as well as online. So a few weeks ago, I had several students who, after the lesson, say to me, "You know, teacher, these are very good lessons we're learning, but a lot of them, it feels like we need to go and study first before we can practice." So it had me thinking, what are some sentences I could give students so they could start using it straight away? Because if you know me and you know this website, you know a lot of it is about getting things done as quick as possible and as fast and efficient as possible. So it took me several weeks, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, where I experimented with many sentences to find the magical, if you'd like to call that magical, 10 or 11. And these sentences, which are on my board, I'm in my house, they're on my board, and I think these could help you communicate effectively without too much, going to study it, or all you have to do is take it in when I explain it today, start using it. That's basically it. So here are the 10. If you just have a look, see there's 10 of them there, and I've put my headline across, 10 most useful English phrases. So I'll explain each one very, very quickly, and then I encourage you, once you've heard me say them, to practice them and see what results you get. Positive, I hope. So the first one is I am. I am is obviously a very simple beginning of a phrase, but you can get away with, or you can get a lot said using I am. When you contract it, it's I'm. So you could talk about yourself, you could talk about where you're from, you could talk about what you're working on, you can talk about the company that you work for. It's very, very useful for using all these. So I'll give you an example. I'm Alex and I'm from London. I'm at the moment speaking to you about this video. So I've used in 3 or 4 sentences the phrase, or the beginning of a phrase, I am. Very useful. That's number 1 up there. Number 2 is I'd like to. I'd like to is a very nice way of making a request, or saying your opinion, or saying something that you want in a very nice way for the listener. So if you notice here, I've got I'd like to, and I've also put some examples. Introduce, say, know, or see. So you can use them in sentences. For example, I'd like to introduce you to my friend Richard. There's a sentence. I'd like to say that this is a really nice lesson. I hope. I'd like to say. I'd like to know if it's 10 o'clock yet. It's another example of a lesson. I'd like to see the headmaster, please. I hope you never have to say that, but that's an example of a sentence. So that's it, using I'd like to. I'd like to is very useful for saying something you'd like to do, or sometimes saying what you think. So number three, ooh, that's quite a complicated one, because I gave 2 options in 2 different tenses. So the first is I think, or I was thinking that. Again, this is a way of beginning a sentence where you're telling people what you're thinking, or what way you'd like to go with an idea or a concept or whatever. And you can also use wonder. I wonder, or I'm wondering if. It's the same kind of sense. So I'll give you 2 examples. I was thinking that we could move this meeting from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock. That's a sentence. You could also say, I was wondering if you serve vegetarian burgers. For example, those are 2 different places you can use them in a meeting, and in a restaurant. But they both work anyway. Number 4 is the first use of can that I have in the list. And in this case, it's can when you're making a request. So it's, can you help me? Or can you tell me? And if you use can you tell me, you have quite a lot of other words you can add with it. So, can you tell me if this is the right train station? Can you tell me why I have to do this homework? I've had that from a lot of students. Can you tell me what the time is, please? Can you tell me when we leave for holiday? And can you tell me how to do this? So these are some examples that I've put that you can use with can you tell me. You can also say can you help me please. It's the same kind of structure. But can you tell me plus these sentences. I will be giving you a PDF at the bottom of this video, so you can actually go over this again before you start speaking straight away, I hope. Number 5 is a present perfect, and the way I've constructed it here is just if you're telling someone a duration or a time period, but you can also move the words around if you have a question to ask or you would like to say it in another way. So here I've got, I've been dash here for or since dash. Dash is this, by the way, it means space. So for example, I've been working here for 10 years. I've been waiting here for 20 minutes. I've been looking at this for 2 years. It's an example of a sentence. The next one is number 6. Number 6 is for when someone requests or gives you an idea and you'd like a moment to think about it, or some time to think about it. So you have 2. I've got 2. I've got let me see or let me get back to you. So for instance, if someone says, can you tell me, could I borrow your book, please? Let me see. I don't need it this afternoon, so yes, you can have it back. Sorry, you can take it and give it back to me. Another sentence could be, could you please give us the minutes of the meeting today? Yes, let me get back to you. I'll prepare it, but let me get back to you on that. That's number 6. Number 7 is a way of just saying to someone speaking to you when you're listening, to let them know that you understand what they're saying, or you've understood what they've told you. So you can say, I get it, I understand, or I know what you mean. Some people say, I see what you mean as well, because that may work as well. Okay? And number 8 is a conditional sentence. It's a first conditional. First conditionals are used for predicting something that will likely happen, but they have a condition, obviously. So in this case I have, if you agree to do this, then I can do that for you, or I'll do that for you. You can have can or for in the second part of the sentence. I'll repeat that. If you agree to do this, then I'll do that for you. So the idea is to use that structure to make a simple conditional, which can be useful for if you're negotiating, or if you're trying to see what options you have, or if you would like to know if something is possible. Okay, that's the reason we use that. Number 9 is very simple. Number 9 is also, I use can, I can, or I can't, or I'm able to, or I'm not able to. All of them convey ability. So you can start speaking straight away about your ability in positive or negative using these sentences. So for example, I can take you to the airport. I'm not able to deal with this query for you, I'm sorry. We can't serve you before 9 a.m. For example, these are all examples of ability. I can play guitar. I can't play saxophone, or I'm not able to play saxophone. There you go. And the 10th one is an interesting one. It's a question, but it's an idea where you try and suggest something. And usually you're trying to get a positive answer if it's possible. So here it is, I've got it. Why don't I just... And here I've got some examples, which is, why don't I just explain this to you? Why don't I just say that we can't make it to the meeting? Why don't I see if it's possible to meet you next week? Or why don't I just take this book over here and bring it back later? So these are my 10 phrases, sentences, that if you master them and memorize them, you can start speaking, excuse me, and communicating straight away. I hope you find them helpful. Thank you. Bye.